our Lunch and Learn series, informal, okay? So this is super informal. We can interrupt, we're gonna get up, you guys can ask questions. This is not, there's no PowerPoints, there's nothing like that. This is a discussion, and we like to just spend anywhere from about, we typically go 60 minutes to an hour and a half, 60, 90 minutes, whatever we need, whatever we don't need. So this is totally informal and totally your class to ask questions, to stop us if we need to. We can go off on different tangents, that's perfectly fine as well. The idea with our class and our series today is to discuss and run through a little bit about fabric printing and some different textile printing. So we're going to run through that a little bit with you. We're going to talk to you a little bit briefly about some of the equipment. We're going to talk to you about some of the material types. We're going to show you some of the things, show you some applications as well. And hopefully you can leave with a little bit of information about what can be done today, what the technology today is capable of doing. The other thing too is that with fabrics and textiles, the gamut is so huge. It's massive. We have our suppliers come in and give us presentations and show us swatch books. And I kid you not when I tell you that the swatch books of fabrics is like 2 inches thick, with 30 or 40 different types of materials. So there's a lot of options out there. It's kind of a pick your taste, pick your flavor type thing. We're obviously not going to cover all that, so we're just going to hit a few different types of applications today. Some you may be familiar with, some you may not be. All right. And my name's Lorenzo. I'm the inside sales manager here, so work with the guys that are answering the phones and taking calls each day when you bring into the office. And then Adam Tawa is also going to be bouncing in and out, helping us. He's going to be talking a little bit as well. Adam runs our tech services department here, so those are the guys who are out installing and repairing, doing some training, that sort of thing with the equipment. So that's the three of us that are in here. How many of you guys are digital printing now? How many have inkjet printers? Okay, so everybody's got inkjet printers. Solvent? A few. UV? Okay. Latex? Okay, got some latex users? Okay. How many of you are printing on fabrics already? I know you guys in the back are kind of like, canvas is, we're going to call it a fabric because we're going to talk about it today. It's a fabric, it's a textile. Anybody else running or have run some in the past? Okay, cool. The fabric printing directly has come a long ways. The inkjet technology continues to get better and better and better. It evolves. It's an evolving technology for us. The equipment gets better each year. The inks become better. 10 years ago, printing on fabrics with these types of machines was really difficult to do. Solvent has predominantly been the major player in this market if you exclude water-based. And we don't operate in that water-based world. So everything that we're talking about today is wide format, solvent, UV, latex, and we're going to actually talk about some dye sublimation as well today a little bit for you, okay? But it has come a long ways. I've been in this industry for about 20 years in various roles, and I can remember a decade ago what it was like when somebody would come in and say, hey, I want to print a banner, or I want to print some fabric, and they bring in a roll of really floozy, super soft product and hand it to us, and we tried to run it. It was murder. Primarily because controlling the dot game on fabrics is very difficult to do. Even yet today, that's still probably the hardest challenge that the equipment and the technology faces. But it has come a long ways. Both the technology itself, the products themselves, the applications are all pretty much all the same, but we have seen some advancements in that. So if you had a history with a bad taste and you threw it out the door, let those things go away because it is different today than it has been in the past, all right? Let me just talk really briefly about some different features of fabrics. Not so much the types of fabrics, because like I mentioned, there's hundreds, literally hundreds of fabrics. But features of fabrics and textiles. You'll typically have synthetic textiles, or you'll have natural textiles. All of the cottons and things like that. And then you have synthetics, you have some polyesters, you have your mixed, your blends. You've got more trade names like canvases and banner textile and light textile this and poplins. Those are more kind of trade oriented, but as an overview, those are two categories and classifications of fabrics. Probably more importantly for us to understand is that the fabrics are typically either a knitted fabric or a woven fabric. And that's important to understand when it comes to finishing. There are two different types of manufacturing, and these are the way that they actually create the fabrics into the rolls or the sheets. Best way, I'll try to draw this, because maybe that will make it a little bit easier to know the difference between the two. And like I said, the biggest challenge and biggest reason for knowing is when it comes to finishing these products, particularly when you go to cut them. Probably familiar with this style of fabric. And I hope I'm getting this right, because I always confuse these two. This is a knit style fabric. Okay, so it's the crosshatch, tic-tac-toe pattern where individual threads are knitted together. Okay, as you can see, there's multiple threads going in each direction. All right, so that's, and when you look at some of the fabrics, it's pretty easy to tell that they are designed that way. Okay, the woven is more of a, maybe the best way to describe it is kind of a crochet style of the product going together. Yes, ma'am?
Those are backwards.
God dang it. Okay, I knew I was going to do that. Okay, woven is woven together.
Knitting is like
knitting,
crochet.
see, I knew it. That's what I got to remember. Knitting. I got to remember my grandma knitting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the knit is more of the crochet, so it's the hook and loop style. And I don't know how to really draw this very well, but as they come through, you're using it, the needle to grab, and it basically interlaces them into those loops and pulls it all together. So you don't have all of these multiple strands. You have one strand that's being woven to create the sheet, okay? Now, that's probably not, knowing that is probably not as important as understanding that when you're using fabrics, you just need to know which type it is, because when you go to cut these things, it makes a big difference, okay? And I'll talk a little bit about finishing just for a few minutes as well, and talk about that more specifically. Okay, so on to printing. When you get to the point that you're printing the products, and this is where technology has really helped us get to where we are today with successfully printing directly onto fabrics. You have coated products and you have uncoated products. Coatings are essentially an after-production spray or coating that is applied to the material, and it's designed to create a controlled print surface on the material. That's what it's there for. It's not there to give the product longevity or waterproof capabilities or anything other than just being able to get the product to where when you run it through the printer and it prints nice, okay? And when you're talking about solvent printers in particular, you almost exclusively have to run coated products through the solvent printers if you want to have any kind of resolution that looks crisp and clean. Otherwise, it's going to tend to bleed out, okay? The same holds true for latex to a certain degree, but you can get away with some of the uncoated products on this machine because the technology is a little bit different with the inks, all right? And when you talk about dye sublimation, with the dye sublimation process, because it is not a direct-to-print process, it's a transfer process, you can use the uncoated products all day long. So that's why they're there. That's why there's thousands of them available, because dye sublimation and the silkscreen market has been using those types of products for years and years and years. And a lot of those products are carryover for the digital print because they've taken the same products that have been used in that industry and they've top coated them to make them capable of running through the machines and having the ink stick and be controlled without just bleeding out into all of those fibers. So any questions on that? You guys heard of coated and uncoated products before? Okay, that's the predominantly the reason why. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about as far as the overview of the fabrics. Any other questions? You know, fire retardancy becomes an issue. I don't want to talk to it. It's pretty technical. I don't want to get into that too much. Indoor-outdoor durability. Those are types of things that are pretty in-depth and more technical conversations that have to happen. Some products are fire rated, some products are not. And where most of these applications go indoors, it's important, I think, for you to understand that that's something you need to look at from a spec level as products come in and you start to use them. Okay. I'll talk just for a few minutes about the equipment itself. We've got, when it comes to the digital print, I mentioned the solvent. I'll classify eco-solvent, light solvent, mild solvent. All of those types of technologies kind of fit into the solvent series. Okay. Some of you have latex machines. Has everybody heard of latex? Has everybody heard of the latex technology? Okay. Adam, would you just give a brief overview of how the latex inks differ from solvent inks in terms of how, I mean, the printers kind of typically look the same, the material feeds in the same, but the ink is entirely different. Can you just describe a little bit about how that's
So with solvent, it uses a solvent base as the carrier, right? And it takes the pigment down to the substrate, and the solvent actually bites in and fuses into that substrate. Whereas latex, it has water as the carrier. So with a little bit of co-solvents in there just to help bite in a little bit, but it's basically water and latex as the pigment lays down and it heats up and almost fuses to the top layer of the material without embedding itself. So that's kind of the real differences between the two. Is this one's solvent-based carrier and that one's water-based carrier. And then the pigment is embedded in latex there, versus this one's just solid pigment. So,
in general, when you look at the latex technology, is it fair to say it's probably more universal as far as textile printing goes? I mean, you're going to get more success on a bigger gamut of products on the latex technology than you are on solvent.
Yeah, absolutely, because primarily because of the way that it lays down on the material, right? It doesn't have to absorb down into that material the same way that solvent does. So it bites into it just enough, but it fuses on the top layer versus having to bite into the material. So just because it works that way, you can run it on a lot of uncoated. I mean, you can still see issues on uncoated material, but you can run it on more uncoated material than you could a solvent. So.
And these typically, do these get hotter due to the heat?
Yeah.
So that's also a contributing factor as to why they're a little more successful.
Yeah, so with the solvent printers, we just have a bottom heat that opens up the pores of the material, and then the solvent and the pigments fall into those pores. And then there's an outgassing portion where the dry heater will outgas. And then on this one, it gets extremely hot just to pull the moisture out of the air or out of the print and cure that pigment.
So two different types of technology as far as the inks go. The machines themselves kind of look and operate about the same. And at the end of the day, the finished product looks almost identical in some applications. Okay, but there's benefits and pluses to both. But when you're talking about textiles, Hewlett-Packard, HP is the only, that I'm aware of, the only latex machine on the market still, right? It's officially a latex.
Yeah, there is another one that they haven't had much success with, so they actually pulled it from the market right now.
So they've really dominated that latex category, and over the generations of this machine, they have made improvements to it solely for the textile printing market, because a lot of people are buying it with the intent of doing that, printing directly onto the fabrics. Okay. UV printing is different as well. We actually, there's a machine, the green machine right behind you is a UV printer. We typically have a big UV flatbed printer here as well that we sold that's a demo unit. And that's a different type of technology. And I don't know how much, to my knowledge, textiles aren't a big market for people that are printing with UV printers, but I know it can be done, right? There's no necessary limitation to it, but again, that's a process where without heat, the UV is curing the inks as it hits the surface of the substrate or the media or whatever it is you're running through there. The fourth one is dye sublimation. I'm going to let Adam talk about that a little bit in a few minutes, and we're actually going to show you some samples and do a transfer process real quick on a small level for you to see what that looks like. But this is not a direct to print process. So this is a process that gets the image is printed to a paper, and then the paper is then sublimated into the material with the help of some sort of a transfer unit. Smaller units look like this. The larger units look like big laminators on steroids. They're massive, big units. And dye sublimation has been, it's very proven, it's a very solid process, but it's different from these in the sense that it's not a direct to garment. And that's kind of the fourth technology as well. And I think, is it fair, Adam, that it's making its way more into our market, I think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
So dye sublimation is not new to the print world, but it's definitely making a comeback. People kind of got away from it for a while because of how hard it was to get it to work right, but it's definitely making a comeback. It's
kind of like in the olden days, the electrostatic process, that transfer process of printing and then having to transfer it to the materials was just cumbersome, and I think, but more and more it's coming back. In fact, we have a unit back behind us here that's a unit made by Roland. So Roland's one of our big machine brands that we carry here. So it's definitely back in the market or in our arena. Any questions on the machines, the print machines themselves? Okay. What kind of questions did you guys come with today that we can talk about? Yeah.
As far as finishing, like, does it require special equipment, like for hemming? Do you need to stitch the edging on certain materials, or all of them?
Yep.
You do. Okay.
Well, so let's talk about that for a little bit. That's the last section of talking, and then we'll print a few things. We'll start working on things a little bit and show you some of the products. The finishing is different than traditional printing on banners and that sort of thing in some cases. That's where we come back to this process here. With the woven products, when you cut through them, they will fray and they will sort of come undone. I can show you a sample of what that looks like right here. Make sure I get you the right one. These are some that I've just taken and cut up with some scissors. And they're sharp scissors, so from a distance they look all right, but as you get closer to them you can see some of the fraying that happens on the edges. So when you cut through the products that are woven, woven, this is what you're going to end up with, okay? You guys can hand that around back there. So there are little units that you can buy called hot knives. I don't know if you guys have heard of these before. We don't carry them here. I wish I had one that I could show you. I should have brought one in. They're very easy to find. Fabric stores carry them. Grangers, places like that carry them. But they're essentially a little handheld unit. You can run them right up against your rulers, provided that they're metal. Because what happens is this little element looks kind of like a paper clip attached to the end of this thing, and the heating element gets that paper clip tip very hot. It's not sharp, it's not designed to cut through the product, but it's designed to go through, and with the heat, it'll sear that material so that as you're cutting through all of these different strands of fibers and fabrics, it will sear them and prevent them from continuing to fray and shred. Is that product there, as you leave it and work with it more and more and more, it'll continue to have more of a raggy looking edge. Okay. So the hot knife is a process that's used. The other type, now that's just going to give you a clean cut edge. Sewing is a predominant type of finishing in this world. In the banner world, sewing is there, but there's also like RF technologies and welding and heat welders and wedge welders and all sorts of things you can use to hem and pocket types of products for finishing, and those don't work in the textile world. So you have to, at that point, shift to sewing. Some of the materials, if they're durable enough and non-porous enough, you can actually use banner tape as well. Some of the tape that's available in the market is incredibly strong. So again, for indoor applications, I've got a sample I can show you, one that I banner taped. You can get away with that, but here's an example of the product that's just been taped. I just have a pull pocket in there, but it's very common at this point for people then to run a thread through this and stitch it up just to give it some extra durability. But that's a common type of finishing as well. Let's see if I wrote anything else down. Mounting is also another type of finishing as well. Some of the products, they all can pretty much be easily mounted with just simple spray adhesive. That's what I've done with some of these ones here. And that'll work for various surfaces. You can just spray both of them, and I'm going to do one for you here in a few minutes and see what it looks like, just to show you how easy it is. I know you guys in the back are familiar with the canvas mounting process. And there's even substrates out there. Some of the gator board type products can be purchased with adhesive already on them that you just crack off the liner, and they're already gummied up, and you can just lay the products directly onto them. So that's also a type of finishing that can be done on this in the textile world. With sewing equipment, there's different types of sewing equipment. There's the single needle. There's double needle, there's triple needles, there's I think the triples and some of the doubles are chain stitch machines. They're pretty heavy duty units. And then there's also serging machines. And so some of the edges of fabrics in the tabletop industry, this has probably been serged, yeah. That's a very popular style of finishing, the types of fabrics that are going to drape. So that is a serged edge right there, and typical sewing machines will not do this work. I think you have to buy specific machines that will do the serging, okay? So it's not like just put on a different head or a different needle or something and you can serge the tip or the edge of the fabrics. But because tabletops is kind of a big market for what we do in the trade show industry, I want you guys to be clear on that, and the serging is a little different than sewing. Other questions on finishing? No? Okay. We don't sell or service any sewing equipment here, but there's lots of places that do that. So.
We don't sell the hot knives.
Oh, you know what? We don't sell any of the hot knives here. I think maybe as we get more into this and as the dye sublimation comes online, we probably will, but we don't sell any of those now.
So on this pocket loop, the tape that you used,
yeah,
is that just your normal double-sided sticky tape?
Yeah, you know what I used? Just this
Killer Red.
Yeah, just this stuff here.
Yeah, that's what I use on the banners.
Yeah, it's wicked strong. I mean, this stuff is pretty darn strong, and I mean, you could hold for anything this size, even bigger, probably up to maybe like a 10 by 10. If it's indoors where you don't need to have a lot of weight, and this stuff is there's nothing to it. It weighs nothing. I think you can get away without having to stitch stuff up for sure. Hardest part is getting it folded over and lined up. It's kind of a one-shot deal. and the fabrics wrinkle very easily. So trying to get that seam to look smooth and not have wrinkles in where the tape is at is a little bit tricky. But yeah, you can definitely just get away with using something like this. Foam tapes, probably not so much. We've had people try foam tapes before, and then they call and say it comes apart. Yeah, it's the foam tape's probably not the right thing. Even if you're going to be stitching it, because it tends to really gum up the needles as the needles run through the product. Okay. All right. Questions yet? No? Is anybody? How about drinks? We have drinks in the cooler. Who needs drinks? Okay. You guys grab a drink. I'm gonna start printing an image off the solvent machine here real quick, and then we'll talk about some of the products themselves. And please, if you have questions, ask. There are no dumb questions when it comes to this sort of thing, okay? There's kind of 4-ish products that I wanted to just kind of show you guys, and hopefully it runs the gamut a little bit so they're not all the same thing. Like I'm not showing you a polyester and a poplin and an ultra poplin and then a heavy poplin, and you leave all here with knowing a lot about poplin and not anything else. Because the textiles, there's a wide range of applications that we have available for that. All right, this is going to heat up and start printing here in a few minutes. But let's talk about canvas for just a quick second. We'll talk about some canvases, then we're going to jump into, we do some dye sub after that. Sure. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I want to talk to you a little bit about a product that's called Phototex. It's actually the one on the wall here. It's a self-adhesive fabric that has kind of some unique features as well. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then if we have time, we'll kind of run through a couple of the poplins and polyesters and the drapey type fabrics as well and show you some of those, okay? So I've ran some canvas. Canvas has been a big market for the water-based world. There's tons of fantastic canvas products available that you can run on solvent machines, on the latex machines now. And we have people come into the desk, the counter here often, and they seem to be intimidated by that market. They might have the feeling that it's super highly specialized, or there's something that's tragically difficult about what that process looks like, and it really isn't the case. It's a very simple product to use in terms of the coated and uncoated, and the knit and the woven and all of the intricacies of different types of textiles. This is probably as close to printing on a PVC banner as you're going to get for most, applications. These are some samples of some things that I ran on canvas. I don't take great pictures, and all of these pictures are kind of like my pictures, so pardon the bad shadowing and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, it's a Droid phone, so. But anyways, simple photographs can just be ran and mounted on this. Here's what the actual material feels like and what it looks like. You guys can just kind of hand this around. It's pretty durable. It has a nice body to it, so it's fairly easy to work with. It's not like working with a piece of, not like trying to work with a tablecloth as you print it and as you're trimming it and as you're trying to finish it.
That's a coated.
This is a coated, yeah.
This is kind of shiny look to the front.
Yeah, they do make various versions that are shiny, some that are kind of in the middle, and then some that are more matte. The problem is that with most of the inks, they kind of tend to leave a little bit of a glossy finish, right, to the product. So
well, and the other thing too is with it being coated, it allows the ink to pop versus absorb into it, and you get like a washed out muted look. So that's another reason why they do a coating on top of it. Yeah. But if you're going for that washed out, I mean, they have fabrics out there that are like just almost feel like solid cotton fabric that you can print on, even through the Roland, and it kind of gives you that washed out style look to it.
Yeah, kind of the little Instagram filter look. I mean, that's you can definitely achieve that with
Yeah.
the products as well. But this one here that I'm running is called a Monet canvas. It's made by Neshin. It's part of their Pure Color Media line. So they've got a line of fabrics that are about 6 products deep, and it's designed. This product line is designed really for this format. Most of the products are available at a max of like 70 to 80 inches, and then they go all the way down to like 30 to 38 inches. Most of them are coated so they can run through various types of technologies and not have a problem. But that's this product here. It's a product that can be used for mounting. It's a product that can be used to stretch as well. So the stretcher frames is another popular style of finishing, and that's a little more difficult. I'm not going to attempt to show you guys that today because I would swear and cuss loud. I think you have to kind of know what you're doing to make that work. It's a little more difficult than spraying it and putting it on the boards. But anyways, this is the canvas. This is a fire-rated canvas. There's no issues with that. And it's got a super strong rib stop to it for any of the applications that aren't backed. There's not going to be any tearing or anything like that that occurs. Let me show you, while this is printing, I'll kind of just run through and show you, just so you can see what it looks like to have it all come together. And everybody thinks, well, I don't have a framing shop, and I don't have, the ability to do all that kind of finishing. You don't need it. It's really a very simple process. So I will do that right now and show you literally a frame bought from Michael's. So right off the shelf is all you need. And then you can size and format all of your pictures and your output to match, okay? Everybody says, well, I don't want behind glass. Well, just pop it out. The open back style frames is more of a custom type feature. So the options are very limited when you look at what's available to buy easily without going to a custom framing shop. But the glass and matted frames are available by the thousands, and all you need to do is pop out the glass and the mats, and you've got an open back frame. Okay? So I'll show you what that looks like real quick here. And it's not too stinky. The spray's not too bad. And then once I get done with this, Adam, if you want to just run through some of the dice elevation, and we can show them a little bit about what that looks like. Any questions yet? Any questions?
You're doing a good job there.
I'm doing a good job? Oh, good, yeah. See, I got you guys in the back, and this is like, you should be up here doing this, man. This is like some serious pressure, because you guys do this all day long, like massive ones, right? So just pull it all out, save it for a later date, or throw it away, because we don't use it when we're looking at doing this here. So you can see we've got the products that's printing right now. It comes off ready to go, okay? I know you guys do a lot of the post-treatment type work, so you can spray different types of clear coats on the product as well to give it extra durability, scratch and abrasion resistance. You don't have to do that, but you can do that as well. You can flood coat product. But when it comes off the printers, either one, it's ready to work on immediately. It's cured, it's dried, and you can go with it, okay? You don't have to let it sit and dry. Oh, thanks. I just want to make sure we get the measurements right on this. But I ran some earlier, so I got some set up right there. You guys are welcome to get up. You can watch, you can come up, you can look at the printers, grab some of the products, grab a drink, whatever you need. So for today, I'm just lots of different types of materials that you can use to mount to. I've got just some gator board here, some black gator board, just a regular 3/16 inch, and they will typically fit inside here very good. On this frame here, and I'll open up this one on the back because this frame's a little bit different because it has, I guess I could probably just leave that in too if we wanted to. This one has a linen mat attached, so it's a little extra deep. If we leave that in there, that would still work fine. We still have the grooves to just drop the board in there and go from there. How do you cut the gator board?
What do you use to cut it?
Oh, you know what? The gator board is a pretty easy product to cut with just a straight edge and a razor. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I'll cut it here in just a minute, and I'll show you how easy it is to just kind of rip through it.
That's the same thing that I use. I use for example, my whole blades.
Yeah.
But I was able to really rough the edges.
Yeah.
And it clean color.
Yeah. No, you want to use the. I've had more luck with these utility style than some people like to use these styles here, and that blade is really bendy and flexible, and this one is a little more rigid, so you can really kind of lay into it and get a straight edge up against your ruler. This one here, as I do that, I'll tend to sometimes have it kind of be a little bit off, just because this does really good for some of the fine details. But this does a really good job when you're starting to cut through some of the things like this here. Okay. But the first thing you want to do is just get your canvas onto the board. We sell a product here. There's a couple of different types of spray pieces that can be used. We have a product here that's just literally a spray can type product. And what you want to do with this material, when we spray it, we spray both products. So you want to spray the back of this, and you want to spray the actual material you're going to be putting it down onto. So I'll do that now. And then wait just literally maybe a minute. I'm going to spray from this direction so I don't get anybody with overspray. You just want to let it get tacky enough that you can lay it down. And it's actually pretty easy to work with if you kind of make a mistake or you need to pull it back up. You can do that for a period of time. It's not a one-shot deal. I will tell you that it's difficult to pre-cut your sheets and get them to line up exact. I tried it just for the sake of being able to say that with some confidence. I found it much easier to just get my product onto the sheet and then cut my finish size with my measuring tape and my straight edge from there. In some cases, you may not have the luxury of doing that, and typically the easiest thing to do at that point is to really try and get your two marked edges trimmed back so you can see them with each fingertip, and then you can try to line those up and then get it laid out. But it's a little tough. It takes a little bit of practice to get that just right. So once you've got a tack and you can just feel it's got a light tack on both of these, you can lay it down. Again, you know, for anybody who has worked with pressure-sensitive vinyls or applied vehicle graphics or wall, oh my gosh, right? It's so tough to do, so frustrating, so difficult. Stuff's flying everywhere. You got wrinkles and air bubbles. This stuff is really super easy to work with, okay? Everything that we show you today, and like I said, even as you get it laid down, you can kind of pull it back up so you can get it right where you want it to be. If you do get a crease or a wrinkle in there, and you don't even really need a squeegee, you can just kind of lay it out and get it laid down for you. Now the adhesion is going to kind of cure a little bit over time, but you're perfectly fine to work with this product. It's not something you have to let sit for any period of time or overnight or that sort of deal. And then from there you can go ahead and make your cuts. You just want to measure what your inside dimensions are. Mine's 20 inches by 16. I got a little bit extra on this one. And then when you go to cut these things, usually easiest to try and do it over the course of maybe 1 or 2 strokes instead of trying to get it all the way through in just one stroke. But it will cut through pretty darn clean. Pretty clean cut. You just can hand that around and see it's not. And you can always throw them on a router table or a saw if you have those kind of resources. They're definitely just as easy to use those, easier in fact, but you can use a straight edge and a blade to cut through this stuff pretty easy as well. You can see I got the same image, it's come off, so straightforward, nothing fancy or special about it. You just got to get it loaded up and ran just like a banner with the right profile.
So with banner, I mean with canvas, I mean there's a specific setting style that you're going to have to use on your printers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the profile.
Yeah. You guys familiar with the
Do you just use
profiles?
like a banner profile? Is that what you use, or do they manufacture?
Most manufacturers will have some sort of textile profile, and a lot of them actually you can get from the manufacturer of the canvas. You can get profiles for your specific equipment from their website.
Yeah, 'cause we have a HP 260, and usually when you load in your material, it gives you the option. This is a textile banner.
Yeah.
So you just go down to textiles.
Textile.
Usually textile.
Yeah.
I think there's usually a canvas option in most of the.
Well, on that specific one on the 260, you would pick the textile
Okay.
because that's about as close as you're going to get picking it that way.
Cool. Perfect.
All right, I'll just take this up and then you guys can see it and we'll move on, but it's really quite as simple as that. There's not much to it. Definitely the harder part is the artwork side of the world, which I know nothing about. That's a whole different beast. This one will work out the backing and all right, so that's good enough to show you what we're trying to accomplish. So, not much to it, pretty easy. From start to finish. So, you know, even once you get the print off the machine, you kind of can see what the workflow looks like to get it where you need it to be to give to the customer. Any questions on that? No? Okay. Should we talk a little bit about DISOB and show them a couple of
Absolutely.
differences and things with that?
Has anybody ever worked with DISOB before? worked with dye sub? Long time ago or recently?
Years ago, maybe 3.
So dye subs, like we were saying earlier, dye subs not new to the print world. It's just the process. The process and the technology has changed over time to make it A, easier to use, and B, being able to use it on a wider gamut of substrates and printers. So these are ones that I've done already, and I'll pass these around and let you look at them. And so that's another technology. You know, we talked about the solvent and we talked about the latex. This technology, there's no heat to it, there's no curing process because it's all sublimation form where it outgasses and it fuses to the substrate with heat. And I'll pass this around. This is that artwork before we pressed it. But you can see it looks pretty washed out when you print it. And once we transfer it, the gases are what actually makes the colors pop. So the thing with dye sublimation is you could literally transfer to tons of different styles of substrate. The guy I was just talking to out here from Cypress High School, he's doing a ton of mugs for this weekend for his class, right? But they all have to be coated. The substrate has to be a polyester material, and so you can get any type of rigid substrate coated polyester. Okay, but as long as it's polyester coated, actually. I did leather just earlier. Matter of fact, there's a piece of it over there. I was messing around. I'll try anything.
You have to kind of prove something wrong, right?
That's right. I was thinking maybe we can get Mark up here. We try your hand, just see what it does. Hey, we won't know until we try it. Actually, these guys volunteered you. We didn't even, they just, yeah, Mark will do it. So.
No, he won't.
Yeah, Mark, no, he won't. This is the substrate we're pressing to. And like Roland was saying, I mean, a huge market right now is custom tabletops, and people are doing dye sub on that. Right? I mean, the direct with the latex is huge for us to be able to have that option, but a ton of people are doing trade show, backdrops, tabletops, all that stuff with dye sublimation. So I was going to show you this. I'm going to pass one of these around, and I'm going to press one, and you can kind of see what the difference is before and after.
Was your leather polyester coated?
No, I just pressed it. But the only thing about the leather is it made it kind of rigid. Well, actually, I probably had too much pressure on my thing, but it made it rigid and took away some of the texture of the leather itself. But I could probably get away with decreasing my pressure and keeping some of that there. Yeah, I don't know why I transferred. It seemed to work okay. So anyways, we'll and the other thing too is because it's a transfer, if any of you work with it, it has to be mirrored in order to lay down properly. Right? So we'll throw our fabric on. And the one thing about transferring, especially when you're using a heat press like this, is if it moves at all, it shadows, right? So you want to make sure that when you press it, that it stays in place. And then we put Teflon sheet on to keep it from burning. And this is 400 for 44 seconds. So dye sub is, we're getting into it, we're a little new to it, but it's something that we're definitely pushing. So I don't have a ton of info. If you need information, we can get it for you. But we've got a printer here that we're starting to mess around with now, that we can either run a demo for you if you need to see something specifically done, or if you have questions, you can hit us up and we can get you answers anyway.
It's a unit that needs a separate unit to do the transfer, though. It's not all in one. So I think there are some units out there that have like some sort of a sublimator on the front end of it. So as you go through and print it and it sublimates it, it comes out finished at the end.
Yeah, there's all kinds of options when it comes to sublimation. We're doing a small heat press system here. I'm gonna pass both of these now. but they have, you know, large roll-to-roll heat transfers. So that's what the paper looks like now, right? So we've taken all the dye off of there and we transferred it through to the substrate.
So that's just a one-time thing. You can't reuse that.
Yeah, because it's all transferred off at that point, so it's one time. But you can see when you start comparing like how it looks before you transfer and then after, well, that's when those gases, they fuse and that's when it pops that color out. So sometimes it takes testing, you know, especially if you're trying to match a specific color for somebody, because it does look slightly different on the front end. You know, so it may, and when the manufacturers of the software are creating these drivers and profiles for this machine, they actually profile on both sides, the transfer side as well as the sublimated side. So
another advantage with sublimation is you have the ability on different types of fabrics to have it actually it'll sublimate through to both sides, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, you see these flag flyers and the flag market and all of that kind of jazz. That's a tough world to live in with this equipment here, because it is just virtually impossible to get that same result that sublimation gives you when you press and transfer that through on those products.
Latex really is, and I was going to print some of this on latex, but latex really is kind of the closest, I think, that you're going to get to sublimation, because it's a water-based material, or it's water-based dye and ink setup that allows it to have more of a soft hand feel to it, like the sublimation, versus some of the solvents kind of have a tendency to have a little more sticky feel to it.
And you can get, these are printed, this material here is printed off of the latex, and you can get some of the, you know, the color pop that sublimation will you know, you can replicate it to a certain degree on some of these materials. That, again, has always been a challenge in the past, is getting blacks to look black and getting colors to really pop when it comes out of the printer, and not have it be dull and faded and kind of just a bland look. This is a good example too on this, it's the same material. But, you know, pretty good black for direct print and colors on that. Like I say, you know, years ago, that's just something that would be a challenge to get directly on without having it supplemented. And of course, that has come a long ways with the inks. The inks kind of change every new machine, new set of inks, that sort of thing.
So this is latex?
This is latex here, yes. Yes.
Are these all latex?
All of those, yeah, these are all latex. Yeah, this is a product here. This is actually one of the poplin products. This is a soft poplin that we stock and carry here. If I were to run this on this product through the solvent machine, it would be very difficult to get that same result. This is where, when customers come in to say, okay, this is what I'm looking to accomplish in my purchase of a printer, you know, we ask questions, because this is a good example of this was something they wanted to target. It'd be very tough to get that to look as good over here. So the canvases are thick and they've got a big coating on them, and you know, they tend to do very well. When you get into more of the traditional textile type things, it can get a little bit tricky.
So I know some of you have latex. How many of you have latex? You have latex. You guys have latex as well. So you know, when you're using that really soft fabric, they all should have the fabric loading device. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I haven't used fabric.
You haven't used it. There's a loading device that is specifically for fabric, because it's so soft, and if you've loaded the material into that machine before, you know that it's kind of hard to get it to run up inside of the machine. Vinyl with paper backing and banners is not a big deal, but the fabric, you try to get it to go in the machine and catch the wheels, and they can change and they continue to go. So they come out with this device, and every printer should have one. That you put the fabric in here, walks in like that, and you can run that up and go through it. Just makes it a little more rigid to get the substrate through the printer.
these are some of the little things that HP has done over the course of, since that first, was the L25 was the first version of this, and it's come a long ways. Both with the inks themselves, the inks have changed. I think we're on our third series of inks now, right? Yep. 789s, 792s, and 831. So the inks have been upgraded, the machines themselves have been kind of feature enhanced to make it easier to use these things. Like Adam was saying, the feed load is definitely easier. They also have this dancer bar on the bottom that will help to keep the tension on some of those fabrics that maybe don't have the capability to, use the vacuums to keep them in place and stuff, so you keep that tension on there. So there's a couple of things like that that are done. And the blacks are brand new. The 831 inks are really designed to be just super dark and sharp. So.
Any questions, basic questions, I guess, on dye sub?
How easy is it to achieve double-sided
On
latex?
actually, latex is fairly decent. They have a whole process on yours, the L26 series, where you actually go through the software to set that up. Do you guys know if you're using Onyx or Flexi or?
Onyx.
Yeah, so in Onyx. So there's a screen that, your main rig screen, right? You have your job in there.
Okay.
I believe you go to change on that, and it brings up a dialog box that allows you to check a box for double-sided printing. But that one's handled through. If you get back to the office and you want to call me, I can walk you through it. But that's all handled through. On the new style, the 360, it's all handled on the printer.
Okay.
But on the L26 and L25 series, it's handled through the software.
So I have the Onyx Lite, which is HP branded.
Oh yeah.
Is that possible to use that?
It is. Yeah.
What media setting do you use? Because it only has built-in HP medias.
Yeah. You just match it up best. Like if I'm doing a vinyl, I'll do like HP air release. I think is what they have. HP air release vinyl that they have in there. I think they have an HP banner.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of, mostly I've never seen anything fabric related. So it's either scrim vinyl or adhesive vinyl or...
If there's a banner profile, you could try that. I've actually printed quite a bit of fabric with the banner profile without any issues. You could also go to, do you have the 360 or the 260? Is it gray like that or is it black?
The 8000.
HP 8000?
Yeah. It's not latex.
Yeah, it's solvent.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go to the manufacturer's website. So like for instance, we have Neshin material, right? So if you go to their website, you can create a login name on there, and you can actually go through their product line and download the specific profile for your printer software version, all that stuff. So, and almost every manufacturer has like Roland or Orcal. You can do it through Orcal as well. It just depends on if they've made one for your specific printer. Ultimately, if they haven't, you would have to probably make one or have one made.
Who does those?
Onyx actually does
These
it.
profiles. Onyx does.
Yeah, you can. It costs quite a bit of money to have a profile made.
Sure.
Some people make their own, but Onyx, they offer that as a service. So, but the 8000 and the 9000 series is kind of that one's kind of an awkward duck because that is an in-betweener between Seiko and HP, and they've kind of disowned that family a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find all the support and profiles for that specific piece of equipment.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Okay, just a few more minutes. We'll run through one more, and then answer any other questions will be good. Who's heard of Phototex before? Has anybody worked with Phototex? Okay, I want to just run through this one because this kind of is like, we talked a little bit about the canvas, we talked a little bit about dye sublimation, some of these samples here, the drapey, poplin type materials. This is kind of like the other end of the spectrum. So Phototex is a self-adhesive fabric. I've got some samples back here that I'll hand around. it's kind of unique. There's more products like this coming out on the market. So different manufacturers are now starting to come out with their own version of what this stuff is.
Is there a mask that you use to transfer it?
You don't have to use a mask on this, you can. There's no mask required. I'm going to show you how easy this is. You know, the imaging replication is actually quite nice on this product. You can get some pretty good colors, some pretty good saturation, which is surprising for a product that's as thin as this is. But it does have the carrier paper, so it's got the carrier paper to protect the adhesive on it. And it is kind of a, Phototex is the name of the company, and that's the brand name. And it is a product that they describe as repositionable, removable obviously. And I've personally worked with it in my home where I've taken it from one room to the next and it's worked fine. So take these samples, peel them back, feel what that feels like. It's kind of different. The other thing is you can contour cut it. So it does cut well, like the Jazz logo here. There's a couple of tricks. Because it is a linen material, you have to slow your cutter down. You got to have a sharp blade. We tried doing some cuts yesterday with
A broken blade.
a less than sharp blade, and
Doesn't work.
yeah, we tried everything. Of course, you know, we're like supposed to be the experts, so we increase the pressure to like 1,000,000 pounds, and we dropped the blade like down to 1.5 inches deep, and it still wasn't cutting. And then we tried the blade, and we were good.
So what is the pressure setting typically?
So we had the pressure setting on the Roland here at, I think we ended up at 60
Yes.
with the new blade, 60, and I dropped the speed down to 30. You have to drop the speed down on this because you're cutting through, it is a textile, it's not an embossed PVC. Some of the products that you'll find out there that are kind of like this product are really just an embossed PVC material. So they've just taken and created a faux look on the face of the product itself. But this is a fabric, a linen fabric that has the adhesive applied to it. So you have to slow it down just so that it doesn't grab those fibers and want to pull and tear them.
Would you have any idea what the difference would be on the setting for graphic tech?
Graph Tech, you'd probably be
Because it only goes to like
20.
30.
maybe try it at 15 or 20 at first. You would have to test it out because you know, when you do your test cut, or what I would do on the Graph Tech, because especially on this material, because the Graph Tech only does that small little test, right? The triangle test. I would create my own so that it has a bigger space to test with.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is the product here. I put this up yesterday to cover a really ugly spot in our wall. But it comes off pretty clean, hopefully.
Whoops.
Oh, you just took the wall.
Yeah.
That was the spot we were trying to cover.
I think that might have been,
That's why it's there to cover up that.
yeah,
Actually, that's why our door's sprinkled too.
yeah. We have another
It's
spot.
all
back
torn
there.
on the back.
What we have is, we have our outside sales guys. Oh, I hate those guys. They come in here with customers and they have these random samples and they'll put like the super high-tack product. You can see on the wall, that's exactly what they've done behind us here because it's too square to not have been the case. They'll have a little sample and they'll go, yeah, you can put it up there. Yeah, it's removable, blah, 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 blah. And then it's not. It's like the high-tack, stick to anything sample, right? And then it peels off the wall. Anyways, this is it here. You can pull that apart for me. And it's much easier. I want to demonstrate how easy this is to put up because everybody has this vision of, I mean, even if putting up a piece of vinyl just this size, it can be tough sometimes. It's really difficult. It's sticking, it's got air bubbles, it's got this, it's got that in it. This is a product that goes up and down, you know, pretty darn easily.
Does it breathe?
It doesn't technically breathe, but I think that it just has just the feel of it, and because it has that repositionable adhesive, you can just kind of lift it and work it down, lift it and work it down, so you can get it where you want it to be.
Lorenzo, is it good to use one of those squeegees that the installers do for vinyl wraps?
You can. It'd probably make your application a little easier, but you don't. It's not
Yeah.
absolutely necessary.
Yeah. And there's tons of different types of squeegees on the market. The plastic ones like this are probably the most common, but you know, some people get a little freaked out about using this with textiles and fabrics. You know, they're worried about the delicate nature of it. So there's different padded and felt ones that are available. You can use this, and it'd probably make it a little bit easier, but you can also work it by hand. But
the other thing too is with solvent, you may need to give it the proper outgassing time before you actually start application. Otherwise, you may see it start to rub the ink off a little bit. So, or even on latex, if it's not fully cured. If you're running a profile that for some reason, even though it looks cured, for some reason it's not fully cured, it'll start to rub off.
What would that be? How much time?
It's always 24 hours by manufacturer guidelines, but you know, you could probably wait an hour, 2 hours before you start application.
so it has a little bit of stretch to it. Oops, I put a little wrinkle at the bottom. It has a little bit of stretch to it, but it's really not much at all. I mean, you'd have to really tug on it, where the vinyl, you know, even just getting it tacked up in the corner, and all of a sudden it's pulled out a half an inch or an inch. But you know, if you make a mistake, you just kind of pull it apart and lift it back up. So it's very easy to use, and it has a very soft look and feel to it. Obviously, the vinyl cut world is huge.
Those bubbles?
Love with that one.
So it doesn't breathe.
No, I wouldn't assume it would breathe because of the adhesive that they have put on the back end.
Anyways, fairly easy to work with and handle by yourself. And again, you can pull it up, put it down, pull it up, put it down. Same rules apply as far as where you're laying it. You just want to make sure that the surface is cured, first of all. Even the low tack adhesives after a little bit of time will pull up paint off of a freshly painted wall and make sure it's clean. That's going to extend the life of it. But it's different, it's unique. We have some customers that use it for some pretty crazy things. I've seen little animals like by the billions cut out, and they go in and decorate walls with them. Even the small pieces are just as easy to work with. So I've had it up in my house. I've had them up for almost 18 months and pulled them off. Like I said, taking them to the next room and laid them right back up in place. So it's kind of a neat product. It's different. I think it's, you know, a lot of the vinyl products out there maybe get touted to do that, but they really don't. Most vinyl is a one-shot deal, right? And then you're done.
Is there any application on windows?
For this year or for fabric?
For windows, for that?
I assume this would work just fine for windows as well. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work just fine.
Is it all translucent?
They make an opaque version of it as well. I don't know that it's 100% blockout, but they have. This is called the Phototex S for solvent. So this was printed on this machine here. They also make a Phototex opaque, and that's a darker version to kind of hide whatever is behind it. I don't know if you put it up in a window if it's 100% opacity or if there would be
I don't think it is.
No.
So is it gray back or white back?
This is a white back.
The other one's white back as well.
Are they both white back?
The opaque one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, it's more opaque than this one, but it's still not 100% blockout.
Okay. So yeah, it wouldn't block out a window, but if you had...
But there's probably other products out there too that
Right.
may be better for window application.
Like these windows, for example, you don't need to see through those.
Sure.
You can put them up on those, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Print's easy. It cures relatively fast. Like Adam was saying, you may have to let it sit for a few minutes, but I printed this last night right before I left and put it up as well before I left.
I think the coolest thing from a technical standpoint is the vibrancy and pop that you get on this material for being a fabric. It's extremely forgiving as far as your profiles go. You know, I've printed this stuff quite a bit, and you don't have to have the highest quality profiles. You know, run it at your 12 pass 1440 all day long to make it look good. You can run this at a standard 720 looks good, 360, 720.
So I ran this on this machine. I ran it at the standard pass, and I just used the generic. I used the generic
Profile?
Yeah.
Which
It really, like I said, it really does absorb that
generic.
really
It was
well.
generic. They had
It was generic banner.
generic banner.
Yeah.
Just generic banner one.
Yep.
So it just ran smooth and easy, nothing finicky, nothing super special. So it would have been the same profile we used to put up a 13-ounce banner line and right through it as well. So pretty straightforward.
And it's specifically engineered for solvent, huh?
This one is, they make another one that is designed for latex. I don't know if
You can use them both on the
Is it 54 inches only?
No.
30.
No, they have a 30 and a 54.
Are they
I
gonna
think
do,
it's
100
60 is
are they gonna do 104?
No.
So two sizes, 30 and 54.
30, 54, and a 60. They make a 60
Oh,
as
okay.
well. Yeah, they have a 60. So those are the widths that are available now.
And-
Like I said, there's a lot of like Me Too products like this coming on the market.
Do you have a flyer on those?
I do, yeah, I got one on the table, I'll give it to you, but it's a little bit, now, the last thing I'll hit on, and I'll let you guys get out of here, is just the cost of fabrics is wide. Everybody assumes, oh, it's fabric, it's gonna cost me a ton of money to buy a roll of stuff. Not so much so. Yes, some of them are. The canvas products, they can range closer to the $1 per square foot range for cost. There's other products that are more just less quality. I don't want to call them cheapy, but you know, here's a product that could replace maybe like a vinyl banner for a banner stand or for something. This is going to be something more down in the 16 to 22 cent
Is that
range.
a liner?
This is a line. This is
No, you have
a
a liner.
liner. No liner.
There is some out there that do have
Is
liners.
that the PVC product you're talking about?
This here is not a PVC product. No.
Hey, did you print that one on the latex or the Roland?
Okay.
Yeah, so it didn't have a liner, and it doesn't bleed enough through the material to have a liner.
Oh, sweet.
There is some fabrics out there though that you would definitely have to have a
Like
liner.
flags. The flag
material,
products,
yeah.
any flag product that you print is generally always lined,
Yep.
and you would need it to be on any of the machines.
So what brand, what is this product?
That's
That product is a Ultraflex product.
Oh, Ultraflex.
Yeah, it is. That's their multi-tex. I've got a tech sheet I'll leave with you guys. Anybody can grab it. But it's a thinner product. So that product is going to be more of the low end, and then it kind of ranges up to about $1 a square foot. So just be aware the Phototex is kind of up on the higher end as well as far as cost goes. But there's a number of products that they've been able to get down into an economical range for people who come in and say, you know what, I've been using banners, I've been using PVC, it's kind of old, it kind of has grown yucky on me, or my customers are always coming in saying, do you have something that looks a little bit more elegant than the PVC? And these are the kind of products that are available in the market that we can run through the machines to kind of transition for a few dollars more away from a regular look of the glossy banner. So.
Because you're stocking this.
Yeah, we stock this, and this is a product that is, this is just trimmed. There's nothing special on the edges. You can see where this is.
Does it have to be heat
Crap,
cut?
I lost my
Heat knife?
No, no. This was trimmed with just a straight edge and a knife. So this product is not woven. It's knitted, right? Yeah. So yes, this one you can cut with a straight edge, and it's going to stay fray-free, and it's not going to unravel. Same with this one here. This one is just kind of a similar version, but a little bit of a kind of the next level up. It's a little thicker, has a little more body to it. You can feel.
So just to be clear, the knit don't need the hot knife with the woven.
The woven, yeah, the woven, the tic-tac-toe pattern. That's the type that needs to have a hot knife edge, or you can trim the edge with a rotary knife or a straight edge and a blade. You're just going to have to do some sort of an edge finish on it, whether it's a serge or a fold over and a hem of some sort. Otherwise, it will tend to get that kind of washed jean edge cut off look over time.
So the whole reason to go with this fabric on the retractable banners is because they don't curve when they're stretched. like
Yeah.
vinyl does.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that what these, they
That-
don't curve,
they don't.
they don't flex or whatever they call it?
They don't. They won't have that tendency to
That
curl in.
Yeah,
Right.
curve.
Provided that you go with a product, like I said, there are products out there in the PVC world that have been embossed. They just basically put it through a machine that gives it a finish that looks like a fabric, but it's not. Those will still curl. Any of these products here, they won't have that tendency to curl. And they just have kind of a, like I say, just a little more of an elegant look to them as rough. Like this one here is an example. I mean, this is a cheap banner stand, just trimmed, and it's got a fabric in it. So it gives you just a little bit of a different look and feel for people.
And that's printed on the solvent too?
This is on the solvent. Yep. Yep. It's on the solvent. Okay. Well, that was kind of a lot. Hopefully a few things that was helpful. Any other questions you guys have that we can help you out with today? We're here all the time, so please, if you come in, pull us aside and ask us. Have us show you again things that we've covered. Have us show you new things. There's no issue with that. Yeah, it's easy. Easy stuff. So nothing to be intimidated by. So hopefully that's something you guys are, a little more confident in as well today. So.
And I know a lot of you in here. If I don't know, if you don't know me, I'm our service manager here. My name's Adam. I may have talked to you, a lot of you on the phone as well. But if you have general questions about how the machine functions with the material, typically our sales guys can answer most of those kind of questions, especially product related questions. But if you guys had a specific question on, settings or something for the software, your printer, feel free to call me. I can get you guys taken care of. So
cool. Anything else, guys? Okay. Make sure you take some food with you. Like I said, that was the most important reason we're here today. Okay. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.